Okay, tonight is the 31st of August, 2011, and this is the fifth night we are talking on the Dhammapada. Now we come to chapter 21, Pakinaka Vaga, miscellaneous, verse 290. If by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater happiness. So this one is logical. If you can give up something to get a bigger profit, why don't we do it? So like sometimes people break the precepts to get some little happiness, but in the long run, if they have to suffer for it, then it's not worth it. But if you keep the precept, for example, not indulging in hunting or fishing, then you give up that little pleasure, but you will take rebirth in a more happy realm for a long time. So it's worth it. 291. One who seeks his own happiness by inflicting pain on others, entangled by the bonds of hate, will never be delivered from hate. If we, because of hate, we cause pain to others, then we will receive hate in return. Just like some people, they like to shoot wild boars, then after they pass away, they're probably reborn as a wild boar to be hunted by others. 292. For those who are arrogant and heedless, who leave undone what should be done, and do what should not be done, for them the asavas only increase. 293. Those who always earnestly practice mindfulness of the body, who do not resort to what should not be done, and steadfastly pursue what should be done, mindful and clearly comprehending, their asavas come to an end. These asavas, as I mentioned before, is uncontrolled mental outflows. You can say defilements, but at a deeper level, it is the flow of consciousness. So, what should be done, we don't do. And what should not be done, we do. Then our asavas only increase. Our defilements, our suffering only increase. But if we practice what the Buddha tells us to practice, the Noble Eightfold Path, then our asavas will come to an end. And we will attain liberation from suffering. 294. Having slain mother, craving, and father, ego, conceit, two warrior kings, eternalism and nihilism, and destroyed a country, sense organs and sense objects, together with its treasurer. Ungrieving goes the holy man. 295. Having slain mother, father, two Brahmin kings, suppose two extreme views, and a tiger as the fifth or as the five, the five hindrances. Ungrieving goes the holy man. So mother is supposed to be craving, and father the ego, conceit. And the two warrior kings are this eternalism and nihilism, the two extreme views prevalent during the Buddha's time. Eternalism means some people believe that they will live forever and ever, even after they die. And nihilism means annihilationist. They believe after death there's nothing left. Everything is destroyed. So we practice the holy path taught by the Buddha, then we cut craving, ego, conceit, the views of eternalism and nihilism, and then overcome our this sense attachment to the sense objects and attachment and lust, etc. And then these two Brahmin kings are the two extreme views. These two extreme views, one extreme is self-tormenting, those ascetics during the Buddha's time, they like to torment their own body, practice all the austerities to torture themselves. They think by doing that, they will they will get rid of their evil karma. The other extreme is indulgence in sensual pleasure. And then the 5 mental hindrances obstruct us from knowing and seeing things as they really are. So if we destroy all this, then we will not have dukkha anymore, suffering. 296. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily who day and night constantly practice the recollection of the Buddha. 297. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily who day and night constantly practice the recollection of the Dhamma. 298. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily who day and night constantly practice the recollection of the Sangha. This Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha are the 3 gems, the 3 precious things in our Buddhist religion. So we always recollect these 3 things, always have reverence for these 3 things. 299. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily who day and night constantly practice mindfulness of the body. 300. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily whose minds by day and night delight in the practice of non-harming. 301. Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily whose minds by day and night delight in the practice of meditation. This practicing mindfulness of the body, meditation, is what the monks work. Monks should practice to get out of samsara. And this non-harming, not only monks, also lay people should practice non-harming other beings. 302. Difficult is the life as a monk. Difficult is it to delight therein. Also difficult and sorrowful is household life. Suffering comes from association with unequals. Suffering comes from aimless wandering. Therefore, do not be an aimless wanderer, a pursuer of suffering. So, if we renounce a monk's life, it's not easy, restricted by so many precepts. We cannot, when we are bored, we cannot go out and go and see a show, or go to a karaoke or something. If we are bored, we just have to tolerate it, fight with it. So, especially a new monk, a person becomes a monk, the first 1 year is a lot of suffering. But if the monk is able to practice well, and then his meditation can come together, he gets a lot of happiness from the meditation, and that makes up for all the physical suffering. Mental happiness is very important. And then worldly people, the household life is a bit different. You have a lot of physical luxuries, but mentally, lay people have a lot of suffering also. Especially when you work, some people, their work, there's a lot of pressure. Just 2 days ago, one of our friends here who has gone back, he was asking me what to do. He can't sleep. At night, he can't sleep. So I asked him whether his work got a lot of pressure. He said, yeah, a lot of pressure. So he's got a lot of pressure, so he can't sleep. Also has to do with these blessings. If we lead our life well, skillfully, we don't harm others, and we benefit others, dana and sila. These 2 basic things can give us a lot of happiness. And if we are happy, it's easier to sleep. So even lay life, also there is suffering. That's the nature of life in this world. The Buddha says the nature of life is dukkha. You can't run away from dukkha. As long as we have a body and a mind, That basically is the source of our suffering. Body gives us bodily suffering. The mind gives us mental suffering. So we have to... The body suffering, we cannot do anything about it. It's a natural process of aging. But the mental suffering we can do. If we understand the Dhamma, if we understand the Dhamma well, then we know everything goes according to karma vipaka. So if we understand that, whatever comes, we accept. If we accept, then there's no mental suffering. A lot of people, they cannot accept, that's why they have a lot of mental suffering, and so they can't sleep and all that. 303. He who is full of faith and virtue, and who possesses good repute or reputation and wealth, he is respected everywhere, in whatever land he travels. This wealth should refer to spiritual wealth. So if a person has faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, he keeps his precepts, so he has a good reputation and he has spiritual wealth. Wherever he goes, he's respected. 304. The good shine even from afar, like the Himalaya mountains, but the wicked are unseen, like arrows shot in the night. In the suttas we find that if a monk practices well, the devas respect him, and sometimes the devas act as a protector. So even though we don't see them, they see us. So here, virtue shines. In some other verse we read that fragrance of flowers cannot go against the wind, it goes with the wind. But the fragrance of virtue can go against the wind. 305. He who sits alone, sleeps alone, and walks alone, who is strenuous and subdues himself alone, will find delight in the solitude of the forest. This forest monk is a very lonely life. He goes into the forest, he practices alone, has to face the dangers in the forest. Sometimes he might be bitten by a snake, sometimes by wild animals. There's some Western monks practicing in Sri Lanka in the forest. One of them was trampled by this elephant. There's still quite a lot of elephants in Sri Lanka. If they live in the deep forest, they will meet these wild animals. Another American monk, I think, was bitten by a snake. Then he caught the snake, he threw it away, and the snake came back and bit him a second time, and he died. So it's not easy to be a forest monk. It's a lonely life. But if he can attain good states of meditation, then he finds happiness in his mind. Chapter 22, Niraya Vaga, Hell. 306. The false accuser goes to hell. Also one who, having done wrong, says, I did not do it. Men of base actions both, on departing they share the same destiny in the other world. So if a person accuses somebody falsely, and if he does something wrong, he says he does not do it, then he is liable to fall into hell. 307. There are many uncontrolled men of evil character wearing the yellow robe. These wicked men will be reborn in hell because of their evil deeds. So this refers to monks and nuns also. If a person wears the robe as a monk or nun, he's supposed to practice all the precepts, or even not all, the major precepts, and be a sincere monk or nun, otherwise he can fall to hell. 308. It would be better to swallow a red-hot iron ball, blazing like fire, than as an immoral and uncontrolled monk to eat the alms food of the people. So a lot of people think it's attractive to wear the robe, but you have to think carefully. If you wear the robe and you cannot control yourself, the consequences can be very serious. The most important thing in wearing the robe is sincerity. As long as a person is sincere, then he won't cheat people and he won't cheat himself. That's important. Even though some of the minor precepts are not kept, but if the person is sincere, it doesn't matter. In the suttas, the Buddha says that even Aryans can break minor precepts. Only thing is when they break minor precepts, they don't hide them. They are very straightforward. 309. 4 misfortunes befall the reckless man who consorts with another's wife: acquisition of demerit, disturbed sleep, ill reputation, and rebirth in hell. 310. Such a man acquires demerit and an unhappy birth in the future. Brief is the pleasure of the frightened man and woman, and the king imposes heavy punishment. Hence let no man consort with another's wife. So this one, if somebody does something wrong, that he's frightened that he'll be found out. And when he's found out, then the punishment will come, either in this world, in the human world, or hereafter. 311. Just as kusa grass, wrongly handled, cuts the hand, even so a recluse's life, wrongly lived, drags one to hell. 312. Any loose act, any corrupt observance, any life of questionable celibacy, none of these bear much fruit. So, just like this kusa grass is like our lalang. If you pull the lalang carelessly, it will cut your hand. In the same way, if a monk is careless with his life, then it can harm him. 313. If anything is to be done, let one do it with sustained vigor. A lax monastic life stirs up the dust of passions all the more. An evil deed is better left undone, for such a deed torments one afterwards. But a good deed is better done, doing which one does not repent. So if a person becomes a monk, he should not be lax. So he should make effort to practice the path as taught by the Buddha. 315. Guard yourself closely like a border city, both within and without, inside and outside. Do not let slip this opportunity for spiritual growth. For those who let slip this opportunity, grieve when consigned to hell. When a person practices the spiritual path, he has to guard inside and outside. Outside means objects of sight, sounds, smells, taste, touch. Has to be careful. And inside is the mind. He has to guard both the outside and the inside. So that they should not allow unwholesome states to arise. 316. Those who are ashamed of what they should not be ashamed of, and who are not ashamed of what they should be ashamed of, upholding false views, these people go to a state of woe. 317. Those who see something to fear when there is nothing to fear, and those who see nothing to fear when there is something to fear, upholding false views, these people go to a state of woe. This being ashamed of what you should not be ashamed of. Sometimes some people, they because of pride, because of ego, if you ask them to do something like what the monks do, begging for food, they feel very ashamed. But cheating people, they are not ashamed because they think nobody sees. But as I said, whatever you do, the devas know. Whatever you do, the ghosts know. You cannot hide. So sometimes, there are some lay people, they follow us on Pindabat. And sometimes we get peculiar people. At one time there was one guy, he went with his Pindabat. And then We were standing at the marketplace. We didn't see him. I don't know where he went. Later we found that he went to hide in the toilet of the coffee shop. He felt so ashamed, standing there with us, begging for the food. He went to hide himself. And nothing to be ashamed of. Although monks beg for their food, we never actually beg, because we never open our mouth. We just give people a chance to plant blessings. We just give people a chance to gain merit by giving. We never ask for anything. So in that sense, it's not begging. So in the same way, something should be feared. Some people don't fear, like breaking the precepts. 318. Those who find fault in the faultless and who find no fault in a fault, upholding wrong views, these people go to a state of woe. 319. Having known a fault to be a fault, and the faultless to be faultless, upholding right views, these people go to a happy realm. So if a person understands the law of karma vipaka, he has worldly right views. So he can distinguish, he can differentiate what is a fault and what is not a fault. In other words, what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. So if people who don't understand the law of karma vipaka, they have wrong view. When they don't understand this, then they do the wrong things and take rebirth in a woeful plane. Chapter 23, Naga Vaga. This word Naga has basically three meanings. One is the big elephant. Another one is a snake spirit. What we say in Hokkien, we call Chua Chi, Se Ching. So this is one of the heavenly spirits. The third meaning of Naga, sometimes they use the word Naga for a holy man, and that means a hero. But in Chinese we call Ying Xiong. 320. As an elephant in battle withstands arrows shot from bows all around, even so will I endure abuse. There are many indeed who lack morality. 321. A tamed elephant can be led into a crowd, and the king mounts a tame elephant. So too, best among humans is the subdued one who endures abuse. This elephant in India, last time they can train the elephants for the king, train the elephant so well that when he goes into battle, is willing to sacrifice his life for the mahout, the man who looks after the elephant. And when they are shot by arrows from all sides, they just withstand it. And they are poked with spears and all that, they just withstand it. So in the same way, the Buddha says, if a person practices a spiritual path, he should also be like an elephant, endure all the suffering on the spiritual path, even abuse. Sometimes monks, when we walk on the streets, Pindapat and all that, sometimes some people don't like to see monks. Sometimes they say nasty words, some people spit maybe. So we just, as I mentioned before, if wise words are given to us, we can treasure it, we can think about it. But if words from ignorant and foolish people are thrown at us, we just let it go in one ear and go out the other. We don't even think about it. 322. Excellent are well-trained mules, thoroughbred Sindhu horses, and noble tusker elephants. But better still is one who has subdued himself. 323. Not by these mounts, however, can one go to the untrodden land of Nibbana, as one who is self-tamed goes by his own tamed and well-controlled mind. So these well-trained mules, horses and elephants, they can bring us here and there, only in the world, but they cannot bring us very far. But one who has controlled his mind As the sutta say, a person, an arahant with psychic power, he can fly like a bird. With a flesh body, can fly through the 6 sensual desire heavens, right up to the Brahma heavens. So in the same way, after death, he can also reach Nibbana. 324. Masti during Rat, the tusker named Dhanapalaka is uncontrollable. Held in captivity, the tusker does not touch a morsel, but only longingly calls to mind the elephant forest. This elephant Dhanapalaka is supposed to be a famous elephant, and I think the story goes that when he was brought out of the forest, he was thinking of his blind mother elephant, wanted to take care of the blind mother. So he was not happy, wanted to go back. I think this might be a Jataka story. So Masti means he has a certain smell. During this Rat is the mating season. Elephants, during the mating season, they are uncontrollable, very dangerous. They can kill anybody who comes near. So when you put him in captivity, he's not happy, he won't eat anything. He wants to go back to the elephant forest. So there's a very beautiful sutta on the simile of the elephant. The Buddha said, just as a forest elephant, if you want to tame a forest elephant, first you must catch him with another big elephant, and then catch him and then bring him out of the forest. And he will resist, he will never want to come out of the forest because that's his natural home. So he needs a lot of effort to bring him out of the forest. And after he's come out of the forest, before you can tame him, you got to make him eat. So you have to give nice words to the elephant and give him some maybe sugar cane or something that he likes to eat, and coax him. And then if he starts to eat, then the trainer is very happy. He knows that he won't die. And then after that, slowly we'll teach him to maybe lift a leg or lift another leg, and to walk, to stop, and all these training, the whole training, it goes to a very detailed training until he's worthy of the king. He's worthy to go into battle for the king. So in the same way, the Buddha said, if you ask a lay person to renounce to wear the robe, he's extremely reluctant. He will struggle. He will not, just like the elephant, you want to bring him out of the forest, he will not want to get out of the forest. So in the same way, the layman in the concrete forest of the city, you ask him to wear the robes, he will resist, he will not. But if he's finally, he has no choice due to circumstances, maybe the wife passed away or somebody passed away, that he's hurt so much that he decides to wear the robe, and then you have to train him, just like the elephant has to be trained before he's a good monk. So that is a very beautiful simile in the Majjhima Nikaya. 325. When one is sluggish and gluttonous, lazy, rolling around in bed like a fat pig, that sluggard undergoes rebirth again and again. A lot of people, we especially nowadays, with all the processed food we eat, after a heavy meal, we feel very sleepy. We go and roll on the bed like a pig. 326. Formerly this mind wandered about as it liked, where it wished, according to its pleasure. But now I will thoroughly master it with wisdom, as a mahout controls an elephant in rut. So this mind is like a monkey, likes to go here, go there. But to control it, the Buddha gave this simile of the hunter who caught 6 animals, and he tied each of the 6 animals with a rope around the neck, and the 6 ropes he tied into a knot and he let them go, and then the 6 animals were pulled in 6 different directions. So So the Buddha said there's a normal mind. If we want to tame it, we got to tie it to one post. So in the same way, our mind is like that, always wandering out, wants to wander out through the six sense doors, to see, to hear, to smell, taste, touch, and think. So we have to control it, like controlling an elephant. 327. Delight in heedfulness. Guard well your own mind. Draw yourself out of this bog or swamp of evil, even as an elephant draws himself out of the mud. So we have to practice heedfulness to train our mind to pull ourselves out of this unwholesome habits, this swamp, a bog of evil, unwholesome habits. 328. If for company you find a wise and prudent friend, one who leads a good life, you should overcome all impediments and keep his company joyously and mindfully. 329. But if for company you cannot find a wise and prudent friend, one who leads a good life, then like a king who leaves behind a conquered kingdom, or a lone elephant in the elephant forest, you should go your own way alone. 330. Better it is to live alone. There is no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest. So this is more for a monk. If we lead the holy life, we want good company, wise monk for company. Otherwise, we want to dwell alone. Even for lay people also, you don't want to mix with fools. 331. Blessed are friends when need arises. Blessed is contentment with just what one has. Blessed is merit when life is at an end. And blessed is the abandoning of all suffering. So if you have friends, when you need them, they are beside you. Those are real friends. And it's a blessing to have a real friend. And then it's a blessing to be contented with just what you have and not to think of wanting more. And then it's very blessed when your life is coming to an end and you reflect that you have a lot of blessings or merit, having done good, have avoided evil, benefited people. Then you feel secure at the end of life. You're not troubled. But the highest blessing is abandoning of all suffering when we practice the Noble Eightfold Path. 332. Blessed it is to serve one's mother. Blessed it is to serve one's father. Blessed it is to serve the monks. And blessed it is to serve the holy men. The Buddha says there are 4 fields of merit. If you conduct yourselves towards these 4 persons, it is very meritorious. But if you conduct yourself wrongly to these 4 persons, then it's very demeritorious. The first one is the Buddha. The second is the Buddha's disciples, monks and nuns. The third is your mother. The fourth is your father. 333. Blessed is virtue until life's end. Blessed is faith that is steadfast. Blessed is the acquisition of wisdom, and blessed is the avoidance of evil. So it's a blessing if you practice virtue until the end of your life. And also it's blessed if your faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha is steady, unshakable. And blessed is attaining of wisdom. And blessed is the avoidance of evil. You don't do any wrong. Don't harm people.